Blog Talk Radio.
Sports Show. I am your host, Mr. C.J. Sports. My co-host, Mario, getting ready to get him in the Carolina Sports Plus studio. Glad to be here on this Wednesday. I'm glad it's hump day. Hump day! Oh, Lord. Long week. Tomorrow's going to even be a longer day. Company I work for having a big thing going on tomorrow. And so it not only is going to be a busy day, but it's going to be a long day. It's going to be a 4 a.m. till 8 p.m. kind of day. So definitely looking forward to the weekend, looking forward to Friday Night Lights, looking forward to Saturday cookout, having the family over, looking to Sunday, be able to sit here and go, whoa, got to backtrack a second. Looking forward to Saturday college football, baby. And then Sunday, looking forward to NASCAR race and working on videos, working on website, working on social media. I've learned a lot of things this week. I've kind of impressed myself with some of the stuff that I have accomplished and learned this week. And that's not even the most exciting thing to come out my mouth. There's a new show on the network starting tomorrow. Yes, we will have shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday right here on the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network. And truth be told, we're working on trying to possibly get a fifth show. I don't know if it's going to be a Sunday show or a Friday show. Probably needs to be a Sunday show. But we got to talk to some things. So there's nothing concrete, nothing for sure. You got a show out there. You need a place to have your show broadcast on, or if you already got a show and you just need to syndicate it, just hit me up, mrcjsports@gmail.com. Had a great time Monday night. Had Isaac Kiltzmiller in the studio for the 110 Nation Race Chat Live exclusive. It was great to be back in the studio, great to be able to sit down, have an interview with this young athlete. It's been a while since I've been part of that. I would say probably 6-7 years ago, 2-3 days out of the week, we had 2 to 3 hour shows, and Miss Lee would have 2, 3, 4 different athletes scheduled for us, and it was back to back to back to back to back. Kind of got away from that. Things have happened. Life had happened. I've really kicked myself in the butt, especially everything that I've learned this week and where we at when we started this 12 years ago, ahead of the blog and ahead of the podcast whole movement, where we could be today if, more specifically, I would have stayed consistent, would have really just pounded the dirt and did this. But like the wife said last night, woulda, shoulda, coulda. So now we kind of rebuilding with a few connections that we still have left. We already got a guest for next Monday night show, and we're working on building some more guests for that. Tuesday night, last night, Race Chat Live had an excellent show. We'll be breaking up some videos for that. It's something I will be working on the rest of this week, more specifically over the weekend. And, of course, tonight we're going to sit here and talk the rest of our NFL path to the Super Bowl and through the Super Bowl. Talking about the Aaron Rodgers, the New York Jets, and all the Super Bowl talk. Talk about Hard Knocks talk about Trey Lance, Dallas Cowboys trade, and holdouts, amongst many topics we got into tonight. Next week, of course, we'll be in the studio. We'll be recapping week 1 of college football. It's another thing we're going to talk about tonight, and giving our predictions. So we got a lot going on. I hope we can cram this all into an hour-and-a-half show. So looking forward to that. But without any further delay, let's get Mario in here in the Carolina Sports Plus studio. Mario, how you doing tonight?
Well, I'm doing pretty good, doing excellent. Glad to be back in the Carolina Sports Plus studio talking some sports with my man and, ready to get into it.
Most definitely. Like I said, kind of dropped the ball over the last 12 years, but very excited about adding 2 new shows to the network and be able to have all these great people that I have had in my life or part of this whole 110 thing for many years. Miss Lee's been with me about 10 years, Chris about 8 years. I want to say Craig, 7-8 years, Taz, 4 or 5 years. Technically, you've been with us on the marketing side, the sponsorship and all that stuff for a handful, probably almost a handful of years at this point. And then, of course, been co-hosted with me over the last handful of months. So just looking forward to continuously growing and all the things that the 110, Carolina Sports Plus, and both of us together will get into throughout the upcoming months and years. So very excited about that. Speaking about Carolina Sports Plus, before we jump into everything we got to get into, let them know where they can find you. I know you sent me a schedule, a whole bunch of stuff you got going on. So let them know what's up next. Facebook, website, Boxers. I know you had an interview, or not. You didn't have an interview, but one of the Boxers was on, or you sent or posted an interview, whatever. And we definitely need to work on getting one, if not both of them, on a Wednesday night show and talk some boxing with them.
Oh yes, we definitely do that. But right now, you can check us out on CarolinaSportsPlus.com for merchandise. You can like us on Facebook and Instagram at Carolina Sports Plus. We got a lot of good things going on right now. We'll be a vendor at the Cumberland County Fair coming up. The fair starts Friday, September 1st, and it runs through September the 10th, and that's in Cumberland County in Fayetteville, North Carolina. So please come out and support. We got some good activities out there, got some good merchandise, got some good fun. So, it's always a good time when it's fair time.
You didn't say it like these, I hate the word influencers say. You got some merch.
You got some merch.
I hate that term.
Got some merch. Yeah. We got some merch. Yeah, that's that new term. That's that new term.
Well, that's something we're also working on. I actually got a design of a shirt for the Monday night show that everybody seemed to really like. So I'm working on throwing some funds together and trying to get that shirt for all, at least start off with all the 110 people so they can help promote shows. And I'm going to work on shirts for the other shows. If we get to a point, we got a place where those that want it or we give out. So looking forward to that as well. Before I jump into everything, make sure, you follow us on Twitter, 110 Nation. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram. It's _110_nation. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. I want to welcome and thank the newest subscribers, and we're working on continuing to grow that. Had 3 videos come out yesterday. 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Had another one come out this morning. We'll be finishing up one once I get off this show. And over the next 4 or 5 days, by Sunday, we should probably have probably closer to 10 more videos coming out. So make sure you guys subscribe to our. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was just saying, just make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. So go ahead.
I just got a little something that came across. Somebody, we got a listener listening in, and he said if you need any help with some shirts, he's willing to definitely help you out as far as getting a good shirt order placed and all that good stuff. If you're interested.
Most definitely.
All right.
I'm assuming it's one of the people in the studio. It's like we got some people in the studio. Once we get off the show, Mario, shoot them a text with my number, and we'll work on trying to get some things worked out. I want to kind of pace out and constantly do some shirts. I want to do one for the Monday night show because I've already got that design made up. I already sent you actually a picture of it. And I definitely want to work on one for this show. And then Tuesday night show, there's not a logo or a banner as of yet. We should have one tomorrow for the Thursday night show. The weekly, and if you got videos this week of anything going on, make sure you send them to me because I will be doing the second half of this first season of There's Only One Nation. I really like the logo and the slogan on that, so I want to put that on a shirt as well.
I do too. I do too.
Yeah. So, got a lot of things going on. So, yeah, make sure you shoot a text over to them with my number, and whoever it is, once they text me, just let them know, or just send me a text with your name and about T-shirts, just so I know where the text is coming from or what I'm getting a text for. So we got I didn't get all that out of the way. We only got the social media. www.the110nationsportsradionetwork.com. Make sure you guys go check that out. That's got our blogs. That's got our videos. It's got our shows. It's going to have our updated schedule because the schedules have changed. We've added shows. I think we lost one of the shows. I think one of the shows that was still on there, the Thursday show, actually they separated and went their separate ways, and one of the guys is actually the one that's starting the Thursday show because he never went nowhere. He just didn't have a show, so he's actually part of the Race Chat Live crew and group, and he's very active with them and wanted to stay part of the 110. He just needed to figure out where life was taking him and what he wanted to do. He finally figured it out, so that's where how and where that all came about. But I will be updating that, and it also has links to all the places you can catch our shows. You guys can catch them on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music and Audibles, Google Podcasts, Podchasers, Spreaker, of course, here Blog Talk Radio, where there's a whole long list of tabs you can just click on, or just go to any of the apps that you listen to your podcast on. Look up the 110 Nation, like us, follow us, or whatever the deal is on those. That way you get a notification and are able to keep up with our shows. And if you listen to a platform, which I don't know too many more platforms out there, but there's a platform out there that our podcasts are not on, do us a favor. Either A, let us know, or B, send their admin an email like, look, add the 110. And it's not like it can't happen, because Amazon, which we just got on Amazon last week, actually reached out to us. I didn't reach out to them. I had submitted a handful of years ago, but that was forever ago. And actually, where I submitted is actually still in ready status or pending status. It's not even the same platform of Amazon that I actually applied to or has been approved on that one yet. But they randomly had sent us an email. So
that's good news.
If we're not on a particular platform yet, just reach out. They'll hook us. They'll let us know. We got a lot of things to get into tonight. I don't know where exactly I want to go to. I guess the first thing, because this was kind of the last conversation that I was listening to before the show. One, Chris Johnson and his holdout, and some people upset about Joe Burrow not getting his contract extension. First, before I jump into and one, get your opinion on it, and then two, give my opinion on it. The whole Joe Burrow thing, the key word of that is an extension. So technically, the Bengals have no obligation to do anything this season. It's it's the right thing to do, especially what he has done in that franchise. And odds are it's the thing that's going to happen at some point this season. I wouldn't be surprised if it even happened between now and week one. And we're not that far from week one. But even if it doesn't happen before week one, I would not be surprised if it happens in the first half of the season. But the key word of that whole statement is extension. It's not like he's going into the regular season and has no contract or is being franchise tagged or anything else. He has a contract. He's under a rookie contract. He just wants an extension or is expecting an extension or there's an extension and a crap ton of money to be expected. Let's go with that. I will say he deserves an extension. I think the money has gotten out of hand, and it's gotten ridiculous. You went from these ridiculous rookie contracts, and you had people like Sam Bradford come out of college and make a crap ton of money and has never proven anything, to we totally flip-flop this, and I have no issues with the rookies are getting paid. But now the veterans are highly overpaid. There's no reason Lamar Jackson's making $80 million this year. They're just not. And I just know that number because that was one of the last conversations as well that I listened to. Is the reason I even know that specific number. But first, before we jump into the Chris Johnson, Joe Burrow, and your feelings on that, more specifically, your feelings on contract holdouts. Where do you stand with that? How do you feel about players that say, and I can't even think of the short dude's name, who's your new quarterback? Bryce Young. It just came to me. Say we get to going into this last year of his contract, and he's done all right, better than expected. With just for argument's sake, let's just say he comes out and plays like Joe Burrow has in his rookie contract. And besides that, going in his last season, he wants to be secure. He wants to be guaranteed that he is going to get his money, the money he feels that he deserves, and he's not going to play until then. Your feelings, your thoughts. How do you look at that?
All right, as far as, there's two scenarios you can go by. You know what I mean? If it's the fan or it's the owner. You understand what I'm saying? Just because we all understand. No. I'm talking about you personally. I'm not any other aspect, anybody else. I want to know your opinions, your thoughts, how you personally feel about these holdouts and these contract situations. No, I'm not big. I understand. Like Joe Burrow, for example, I understand he may deserve his money. He really do deserve his money. You know what I mean? As far as a good owner, I feel like a good GM, he deserves his money. But you know, I feel like he should play out his contract without a problem. Even though, you know what I mean, football is a hard sport. I get it. You know what I mean? You know, when your time is next, your time is coming. You know, but as far as contract, you know, just play out what you signed for. You know what I mean? Just play out what you signed for. Not saying you don't deserve it. Not saying you don't deserve it. Not saying you don't deserve it because he does. You know, he plays behind a bad offensive line. You know, he's carrying them, and he's kind of looking at it. I wouldn't say he's injury prone, but he's been injured quite a few times already. You understand what I'm saying? So that's a situation you got to think about too. You know, if I was a player, of course, I would want my money. But as a fan, just play out the contract, man, and I hope they do right by you.
I agree 100%. First of all, I couldn't imagine saying, you know what, current job, I outperformed what you paid me this year. Till you up my pay what I feel I deserve next year, I'm gonna stay at home. I don't think that would fare out very well for myself.
I agree.
I hate contract. I hate it when players sit out due to contracts. I don't know. I don't think Dak actually ever sat out, but I think he was threatening to sit out. I know there was one point in time, I think Terrell Revis sat out. I can't remember if Derrick Henry sat out. It seemed like it was a running back that sat out at some point. I hate when people sit out. One, it's not about just you. There's what, a 53-man roster? There's 52 other people on that team. So when you set out, especially if you are a skill set player, running back, wide receiver, quarterback, whatever the case may be, you throw the whole offseason, the whole preseason, OTAs, everything out of whack, because odds are, especially if you're holding out, that offense is probably somehow focused around you. How they run the offense, how they scheme, whatever the case may be. Also, you put yourself behind however many weeks. We all saw what it looked like Deshaun Watson came out last year from being suspended, and how sluggish and slow and out of shape you are. I'm not saying all of them get out of shape, but there's a difference between you doing your workouts by yourself or your boys, and you out on the football field busting your butt, sweating, and running for hours. They're just a difference. Because you're going to push yourself harder when you're out there competing and playing for position and proving a point and proving yourself, versus you out there just playing 3-on-3 or 5-on-5 or just running around, running routes. You're not going to push yourself. You're not going to run hard. You're not going to whatever. I'm also like you. Honor your contract.
Yeah, just honor
your
contract.
Now I understand some players. Some players, like I understand, like Joe Burrow, outperformed his contract. Completely understand that. The big issue, people say, "Oh, well, they should pay him more, this, that, and the other," which I have all confidence. As much as I hate Cincinnati, I have all confidence that, like I said, I would be honestly, I would be beyond shocked if we even make it halfway through the season and he's not gotten an extension. I would be really shocked, not just beyond shocked, but just really shocked, if we make it a quarter of the season. And I'd be surprised if we even play week 1 without a contract extension. Where people don't understand, because they just look at that as, well, the team players don't care, the teams don't care, the owners don't care. Back to my first point, and this is why these contracts take the time that they take, is because we've gotten out of control and out of hand with what these players are making. So what used to be players barely making $1 million a year, you have someone like Lamar Jackson, for instance, that's making $80 million just this year alone. So it's not like they just have all this money sitting around, and the money that they guarantee has to sit in basically like an escrow account. I learned that today as well, listening to different talk shows. So it's not like, it's guaranteed money, but they ain't got to pay for it. No, that money's got to sit there. It's guaranteed money, so it has to sit wherever the NFL destinates it at. I forget where. I didn't listen to the whole conversation, but that money's got to sit there. It's guaranteed money. That money's got to be there. So it's not like they say, we guarantee you $240 million over 5 years. So, no, that money's got to be put up front to the side, sitting there waiting for them. So that's part of the issue, is because these contracts have gotten out of hand, and these teams can't afford to pay this player $240 million with $200 million guaranteed. This player $160 million. This player $120 million. So not only not only are they getting out of control, now you got fans that, I wish some of these fans would have to be on the other side of, see it from there, would actually have an opportunity to be an owner for once. Because they just assume that it's just roses and rainbows and butterflies. That's not the case. First of all, most of these people had to come up with this money through whatever way. Was it like, some of them, I'm sure there are partnerships, so they had to come up with all the money. But some of these people, Jerry Jones just bought out the Cowboys. So he had to have that money. And I hate when people say, well, family money or blah, blah, blah. I don't care how you got the money. I just had this conversation the other day with somebody, and I think it was talking about the lottery or something. Well, they just got the money from the lottery. I don't care how you got your money. I don't care if you inherited the money. I don't care if you won the lottery. You at some point had to do something. And then you had to manage that money. What was it about? Because, I know what it was. A really good friend of my wife. They do ministry work together. And the lady that she's really close with, her sister's part of it, but her sister took over the family business. And before she took over the family business, when the father passed away, she'd actually gotten to a point, and I didn't know this until we had this conversation. She got to a point that someone almost had to adopt her kid because she had nowhere to go. Then her father ended up passing away. She took over the business, and she helped build this business. Now she lives in a beautiful house. Other house is a little bit too close for my liking. It's a little bit bigger than I would really care for, but it is a big, beautiful house. I think the things that actually impressed me the most was the autograph. I think it had Johnny Bench and all those from the Red Machine back when the Reds had their heyday. Just different Wayne Gretzky uniform sign, like a bunch of sports memorabilia that's autographed. That's really honestly what impressed me the most. And she knew I was a sports guy, my wife's friend, so she's like, oh, yeah, how about you look at this, and look at this, and look at this, just showing me all the sports stuff. They had an in-ground pool and all this other stuff. And it was brought up, someone kind of was on the snotty side of this party talking about, well, her dad left this, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Because she had to maintain the business. She had to continue to be able to pay the bills where she lives at. She wasn't just given this house. She bought this house. Like, I don't care. And so back to my point, since I've got off track. I wish sometimes fans would have to be an owner or at least in the owner's shoes. Because they just think, all this money comes in ticket sales, and all this money comes in TV deals, and all this money comes in. That's you don't take into consideration of all the money that goes out, all the upgrades. Do you ever go to a game and pay attention to how many people work at the stadium? Like, there are people everywhere working, not for free, working. Then you got to pay for every player on your team. Then you got to pay for your practice facility. Then you got to pay for the electricity and water and everything else of this entire stadium, your locker room, everything else. Then I can only imagine what the insurance, liability, and all that stuff's got to be. Fire and hurricane for those in Florida, tornado, those that are in the middle. I can only imagine what those fees cost. I am sure that the city taxes and the state taxes and any other taxes is through the roof. I understand they make money or they wouldn't be doing this, especially someone like Jerry Jones who bought the Cowboys for really pennies on the dollar to what it's worth now. But it's not like these owners just reap in all this money and there's not all this money that's got to go out. And then now you got players that want to get paid $240 million over a 6-year or a 4-year contract, guaranteed money, or get paid. I think what Dak's getting, $60 million a year, Lamar $80 million a year. Hell, what Patrick Mahomes, it was $500 million on 10 years or whatever. So that money had to be there. So the owner of Kansas City Chiefs had to put that money into what is essentially an escrow account and come out of that pocket for that to be there for the next 10 years. It's not as easy as people want to make it seem to be an owner. So that's my other issue with it. But also, I want that you honor your contract. If you signed a 5-year deal for, just say, $5 million, regardless if you outperformed it or not, you honor that contract and you play 5 years for $5 million. If you underperform, I promise you there's never been a player say, you know what, I didn't live up to my $10 million expectation this year. Here, I feel you're owed $6 million back. Let me give it back to you. Guaranteed that's never happened. But players are quick to say, you know what? I outperformed my contract. I ain't playing again until you pay me more. Now, 99% of the time, you outperform your contract and you carry yourself in a professional manner. Either you'll get that extension before your contract's done, or you'll get paid on your next contract, or someone else will pay you. But these players that hold out, and I know the whole, well, what if he gets hurt? Well, what if he gets hurt? I mean, hell, Lamar Jackson was out, 6 weeks last year? He got a hell of a contract. Dak Prescott was out for, almost a whole year? He got a hell of a contract. I'm sure Joe Burrow up for an extension. He's been, for rookie season? He was out for the entire season. Didn't he hurt like the first game? And then was out, a couple games, or no, was already injured preseason this year. Question if he'll start game one, which it looks like he is. Yeah, he's going to get a contract extension.
Yeah,
so,
he is.
Hell, even Alex Smith managed to come back and get a contract. Hell, Dak Prescott not only broke his bone, but the bone was taken out of his skin and got a good contract. So this whole contract thing, I don't know if it aggravates me more from the fan base or the player. The players want to kind of feel the fire, but these fans, these owners this and these owners that. Until you're in the shoes of the owner and you got to deal with everything that you got to deal with, you have no idea what you're talking about. But anyway, these next two topics kind of go hand in hand because it's about essentially the same. Well, it has to do with the same team. Part of one has to do with the same thing that the other is about. We'll talk about Super Bowl expectations in this whole talk. Of course, Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets, talks about Super Bowl, talks about the trophy, the Lombardi Trophy looking so lonely, Super Bowl III trophy, and then Dalvin Cook comes to the Jets and talking about a high probability or very likely or whatever, them going to the Super Bowl. A lot of talk of that, of course, then I hear people, I don't know why, they think they're going to go Super Bowl, this, that, and the other. I don't have them going to the Super Bowl, and we'll get into that actually, kind of extend to the third thing that will involve this team. I don't have them going to the Super Bowl. Matter of fact, I had them losing in the first round of the playoffs, but I do have them making as a wild card. We talked about that 2 weeks ago when we did our AFC side of the predictions. But to hear some people talk about the New York Jets like it is the most impossible thing. You have a team that had the 3 worst quarterbacks by rating in the entire NFL with a minimum of so many passes. I forget the minimum was. But all 3 of their quarterbacks, Zach Wilson, I forget who the other 2 were, literally the worst 3 quarterbacks in the entire NFL. You had Garrett Wilson in his rookie contract, so you still knew. You didn't have a Dalvin Cook. You didn't have an Aaron Rodgers. And you still went 7-10.
Yeah.
So the naysayers out there, it is beyond me why you don't think it's a possibility that they could go to the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not going to go to the extreme of a high probability or be like Aaron Rodgers and, trophy's looking lonely, we're going to the Super Bowl this year. But I'm also not on the other side of the fence where it is not a possibility that, Aaron Rodgers, he's 40 years old and didn't perform last year. Maybe he was just tired of Green Bay. Maybe the fact that he only had one top 10, it might have been top 5, but one top 10 defense his entire career, and that was the year they went to the Super Bowl and won.
Yeah.
Or maybe he was tired of not getting players that he wanted to get to throw to. Or maybe he was just tired of being in Green Bay. Maybe it was a time for change. I can't say that he is washed up. And everybody said, wait, throw for 300 yards in so many years or so many games. Okay, you still came one game short of making the playoffs. I don't care if the quarterback throws for 150 yards or throws for 600 yards. It's the W that I care about.
Yeah.
So my quarterback goes 10 for 14, 150 yards, and has 2 touchdowns, maybe rushes for 20, 30 yards, gets a touchdown or not. I don't know. And you have a running back like Nick Chubb on my team, or even his case now with Delvin Cook. Delvin Cook runs on average, I would say 90 to 110 yards for this season. Gets him a good 10, 15 touchdowns. I don't care. Because you could have a quarterback that throws it and goes 20 for 55, throw 400 yards, but has 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, and a loss. So the whole yard thing, I don't get caught up on the whole yard thing. I'm more interested in your completions percentage. Are you throwing accurate, good decision passes? And your touchdown to interception ratio. Your yards really doesn't make a difference to me because there's many different ways to win a game.
Yeah.
Now, you can't win a game if you're turning the ball over and you're not completing any passes. You're just making piss-poor decisions. But like I said, I'm also not on the side of the fence that, they're going to the Super Bowl. I see them making the playoffs. I think they're a better team this year. I don't think Miami's a better team. I don't think New England's a better team. I think Buffalo's the same as last year, but they are better than the Jets team. I see them making the playoffs as a wild card. I think that if Aaron Rodgers plays at the level that he could play at for the next 2 or 3 years, I don't think it goes more than 2 or 3 years. Yeah, I can see the Jets making the playoffs. Yeah. I went through their schedule in my video that I'll be dropping later on. They very easily could go 12-5 or 11-6. Very easily.
I think honestly, just since I'm sitting here thinking about it, is since we're talking about the Jets, it's a must win week 1, don't you think?
I don't have them as a win.
Against the Patriots?
I think they play week 1 against Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Monday night against Buffalo, September 11th. I don't think they win that game. I think if the games were flip-flop and they played home against Buffalo on November 19th, because it's the second time they played, I think the Jets would win. But I think game 1, out the gate, and this is the first time you're all playing together in a real game situation, I think Buffalo's going to get the upper hand on it.
Yeah.
Then week 2, out of the benefit of the doubt, I could see the Jets possibly going into Dallas and winning. But I said the Dallas Cowboys win. I think week 3, Jets win at home against New England. I'm not sold 100% that Kansas City is going to go into New York and win, but I went ahead and did Kansas City at Denver. This is going to be a highly watched game with this whole beef and keep my coach's name out your mouth.
Oh yeah.
I think New York. I think New York goes into Denver win. I think New York is the better team. Where I'm not sold on Philadelphia, I think the Jets win at home against Philadelphia. They go into the bye 3-3. Then they go. They play. It's at New York Giants, but technically it's a whole game for them as well. I think they beat the Giants. I think they win at home against the Chargers. I think they go and win against the Raiders. Then they lose at Buffalo. I think they beat Miami. At home. I think they beat Atlanta at home. I think they beat Houston at home. The Miami game, I don't think I was 100% at Miami who would win that. I think they beat Washington at home. I don't think they beat Cleveland in Cleveland on Thursday night. And I think that, and this is why I said 12-5 or 11-6, the last game of the season is at New England. I think that all comes down to playoff picture. I think whether or not it helps them to advance, if New England needs this game, which I don't think they make the playoffs. As a matter of fact, I think I had them the bottom of the East. I think that determines whether or not they go 11-6 versus 12-5 based on that game. I I find it very likely that they make the wild card. I'm not on the side where Super Bowl and no, but I'm also not like first thing first where you would have thought Nick Wright was going to blow up and explode when the whole conversation, the possibility, and players talking about the Super Bowl. My whole thing with that.
No, I want even like thinking that point of view. You know, they're all professionals. You know what I mean? But you know, the question is Aaron Rodgers still elite? You know what I mean? Is a change of scenery is going to help him, or he just going to come out? You know, because Aaron Rodgers got a lot of blame also in what happened in Green Bay. You know what I mean? Against the 49ers. You know, you know what I mean? So it goes hand in hand. Would I like to see Aaron Rodgers do some good things? Honestly, I would. Would it be great for the NFL to see the Jets do good after getting a big-time quarterback coming to a team with a good defense? My only thing is the offensive line. You know, is the offensive line going to hold up? You know, is Aaron Rodgers, is he going to be able to sit back there and throw clean passes? So we're about to see. But at the same token, I definitely it would be good for sports to see the Jets do something productive.
I definitely agree. It's been such a interesting conversation.
But I don't even think even thinking about it. If you want to sit there and say, okay, Jets versus the Bills right now, you know the Bills been in it. You know, we've been keeping the Bills real close over the last couple of years. You know what I mean? At one token, is it that time to go over the hump, or is it that time that, you know what I mean, is going downhill? Because at one point in a team, you know, after doing good for several years and not really producing anything, you know, you get kind of burnt out, and players get mad. Players, you know, the team just dies down. Week one is going to be a very good story to sit there and tell. Is the Bills going to be the Bills, or is the Jets going to take over and the Bills are going to come down? So week one is very interesting.
Most definitely. I have the Bills obviously winning the East. I have the Bills making the AFC Championship, but I don't even have them making the Super Bowl. Like I said, I think I have all roads going through Kansas.
Okay.
All roads going through Kansas City.
I can't. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. You can't knock Kansas City right now. You can't. It's just hard to do. No matter if you like them or don't. If you're just sitting there looking at them play football and them winning football games, it's hard to sit there and say Kansas City ain't it.
Yeah. And which we'll get into our path to the Super Bowl and through the Super Bowl here in a second. Mm-hmm. Another thing has to do with the Jets, and it's not just the Jets because they've been doing this for many seasons. The Browns was on it one season, and that's Hard Knocks. You got a lot of teams that turn this down. The Jets did not this year. The Browns didn't the year that obviously they were on it. It seems like Tampa Bay might even been on it.
As they shouldn't have.
I agree. It makes for, and I wish I would have watched more, and I think it's on Cinemax or whatever. And so I'm going to have to go on my way to watch is it on HBO?
HBO, I believe so.
So I'm about to go on my way to kind of, I think I had to do, when I watched the Browns one, I think we had the jailbroke Fire Stick is I think how I caught those because I didn't have HBO then either. I pay enough for YouTube TV. It's almost $100 these days because I have the full sports package. So I have the Red Zone and I probably have 50 sports channels. So I pay extra to have that part of it. To me, the sports package is the most important package to have. So I'm a big fan of the Red Zone as well. I love being able to bounce from game to game, and I also love it when you get to, and this is happened quite frequently, especially when you get your Sunday evening games.
So I want that, since you're saying bounce game to game, I always come in like confrontation about that, right? Are you a game-to-game bouncer when your team is on, or are you just watching it all day? Just my opinion. This is my opinion. It's kind of like I like watching. If my team is playing, I like watching the game from beginning to end because you get a good feel of the game, how the game is going as far as the run game, passing game. You know, it's all good just to see the touchdowns when they get inside the 20-yard line, but you don't get to see the struggle of the game. You know what I mean? Like, when my game is on, it's hard for me to sit there and change, like watch the red zone and then go back to watching the Panthers play. You know, if the Panthers are playing, I got to watch that game. You know, I got to see how the game goes and how it starts and how the momentum builds. And you know what I mean? That's just my question.
Yeah. There's different scenarios, so we're gonna get right and go through this. But speaking of the Sunday, especially evening, this is really the part that excites me. When you get down to the last few games, there's only a few games, and so the red zone picks up the game that got the momentum going. I know there was one Sunday in specific. I watched one team march down the field, and the crowd is building up, and either they scored or didn't score. And it's like soon as that happened and it finally calmed down, either after the score or a turnover or a punt, the other game just so happened to pick up momentum. And so you switched over to the other game as it was getting energized. And then it seemed like it went back and forth the whole evening. And I was like, holy, oh, my God, this is the most exciting back and forth, because it just worked out perfectly how the games were playing out. And there's been a few times that's happened. But to your question, one, unfortunately, I live closer to that other team in Ohio. And so we get blacked out a lot of times.
Okay. I can understand that.
I would rather watch Red Zone than watch Cincinnati. I try to keep it clean because I don't call them Cincinnati. I think you've seen my post before. If it is in a time frame, say one plays at 1, one plays at 4, or vice versa, whatever, 99% of the time what I'll do is I'll put the Browns on the big TV, and then on my phone I will run Red Zone so I can keep up with what else is going on in the league while I'm watching my team play.
Yeah.
It's usually what I do. That my team is really the only team that, other than the Sunday night game, well, Thursday, Sunday, Monday night game, is usually the only games that I watch all the way through. The rest of the time, you'll usually catch me watching Red Zone.
All right.
There's a lot of teams I have, especially doing these shows, because once the season gets going, not next Wednesday, but the following Wednesday, we now got 16 games that we got to try to touch on. And get into predictions, what you need to know what happened the week before on injuries, results, everything else, so you can make your predictions. So that's another reason, especially doing this, I love the Red Zone, because you get to see a little bit of everything. You get to know a lot of stats. You don't miss a lot of key things. So that's why I'm huge. That's why I'm a huge fan of it. That's why I pay so much extra to have the sports package, other than the fact that I get Big Ten stations and SEC stations, and I can't even begin to tell you how many sports channels is in the package that I pay for. And most of it I have no idea. I've never watched. Off-the-wall sports, across-the-world sports, like it's everything. But anyway, yes, I'm a big fan of Hard Knocks. I think any opportunity that a sport can have to get their fans closer to their team, closer to how things go, just more involved. I think that's one of the big things NASCAR fans love NASCAR so much, especially when you get pit passes, or when I do media and I'm down there in the garage area. I'm down there at Bristol Motor Speedway, and there's no garage area, so if somebody gets damage on the car, you're literally, you could literally have your hand on a crew member. I mean, they're going to tell you not to touch them, but you could have your hand on their shoulder while they're working on the car. And that's how close you are to the action, because there's nothing other than trailers that are compact. There's no garage. There's no nothing. Like, they park right in the middle of infield, little area, and work on a car right there. If there's a fight, you're right there, which I've experienced both of those things at a NASCAR race. So any opportunity that a sport could take and get their fans closer to the sport, to let the fans be closer to those they idolize, for the sport to be able to have their fans be able to feel like it's a lot of money to go to these games. There's a lot of money to buy these jerseys, these hats, everything. So any opportunity that these teams have to be able to make the fans feel appreciated, feel like they are part of this organization, make them feel like they are important to the franchise, I think they should be all about it. Like, honestly, I think they should do a couple teams a year, maybe one AFC, one NFC or something, versus just one team, period. And I know that's kind of asking them a little bit and kind of going the opposite direction that most of these teams want, because most of these teams don't want the cameras there. They don't want everybody seeing everything. There's a lot of things they don't want, but honestly, I guarantee most of these teams are not sit there and part of their scouting report is watching Hard Knocks. I just don't see that being a thing. Yeah. If you want to watch the video, you can have fans there just recording. We see video all the time of people's practices, our team's practices, fights, and everything else. There's not a lot we don't miss with people on phones everywhere. So let's be honest. If that's your big concern, then you're concerned about the wrong thing. Because there's really nothing that you can't do anywhere, that there's not a camera somewhere watching you. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Hard Knocks. I like it. I like the whole concept. Like I said, honestly, I wish, and I think they did like maybe two teams, one at NFC, one at AFC. Maybe the teams wouldn't feel so much of a certain way. Well, they get to see our stuff. Well, they get to see two teams every year and rotate it. Like, big deal. Get over it. It's interesting to me to see the fights. It's crazy to see that many fights. Like, you're on the same team, bro. Like, what are y'all fighting for? Yeah. Like, watching Travis Kelce punch the other players, and it was really over nothing. Like, I didn't even see nothing happen until he punched him. So some of the stuff, it's crazy. But also, it lets you see the intensity, how important this is to them. How much work goes into not only the offseason preparing for this, but also the OTAs, the practices, all that stuff. So, like I said, I'm a big fan of it. I'm going to, once I get a chance to sit down, I would like to go back and watch the Jets, especially with all these changes. But I like the whole series, and I'm glad they do that. And I wish more sports would do things to kind of get the fans closer to their sport, and make them feel more loyal. There's a reason why the numbers are where they are. There's a reason why the NFL draws in so many million viewers every week, and then why there's less in the NBA, why there's less in Major League Baseball, why? Because the NFL does a lot of things to make the fans feel like they're a part of what's going on and the experience that you get at games. So, speaking of the Jets, speaking of the playoffs, speaking about the road going to it, 2 weeks ago, we sat and talked about our AFC predictions, who we thought was going to win each division, who our wild cards were, what the path was going. Well, we didn't talk about the path. That's where we stopped at. We did the same thing for the NFC. So today what we're going to do is we're going to go through placing our 1 through 6, our 4 division winners, our 2 wild cards, and then the path that each side will take and who ultimately will be in the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. We're going to start with the AFC side. We'll go from bottom up to kind of. Do you have your picks written down that you already picked?
Oh man, I was just boss man. I was just about to say something about it. I currently forgot who I picked. To be honest with you, I don't have my notes beside me, so I was like, oh man. But I got
know.
we can definitely work. We can definitely go through this. It won't be a problem.
I definitely got your AFC side. I hadn't posted the NFC side,
Okay.
and I was in the same boat because my book bag with my notebook, I realized once I got to the house, I had left it at work. I had it laid on the counter, ready to go with me.
Yeah.
And so we're going to do the AFC side first. And to refresh your memory, on the AFC side, you had Buffalo, Kansas City, Jacksonville, Cincinnati being your division winners. And you had the Chargers and Miami as your 2 wild cards.
Okay, that sounds right. That sounds right, yeah.
So the 6th seed, which was the lesser of the 2 wild cards, I chose the Jets. Like I said, I think they are going to be 11-5 or 12-5, 11-6, maybe even 10-7. I don't think they outdo Buffalo to win the conference, which is why I picked them as my wild card. But I think that they will probably be the lesser. They will be the lesser wild card, as I have Cincinnati record-wise. That was my other wild card. So I have the Jets as my 6th-seeded team, the second of the 2 wild cards.
All right.
So your 6th seed has to either be the Chargers or Miami.
I'm going with I'm gonna take Miami on the low end. And
I agree with that. Between them and Chargers, I agree with that.
I take the only reason Miami gets in there, and this is just a big if. It's a big if with everything, but it's definitely a big if with Tua. You know what I mean? I want to see Tua play a full season with the Dolphin squad that they got this year. You hear me? They had an opportunity last year. It didn't happen. So the only reason why they squeezing in that wild card situation is because I want to see a Tua healthy play with this Miami Dolphins team. But I want to see if you want to put the Bills up there. If you want to put the Bills up there, they're playing. Honestly, I think the Bills lost a little mojo. You know what I mean? I just have to see it. You know what I mean? I just got to see it.
I don't think, and like I said, when I'm talking about the Jets, I don't think they got any better. I think they're still better than the Jets. We both have them as the top team.
The more
I don't think they got any better.
I know.
I think that they pretty much stayed flat. I think New England didn't get any better. I don't think Miami got any better. I think the only team in this actual division that got any better was the Jets, but I still think Buffalo was the best team out of the 4 teams. I just don't think they got any better. I don't see them going all the way. I think the same issues they've had the last couple of years are the same issues they're going to have this year. And so I think that they dropped the ball in the offseason. I think that there's pieces that are needed in Buffalo. They didn't address all the pieces they needed. I think they're the same team that they've been. No. So
I just don't. You know, the reason why I say that is because we saw what the Panthers did to Cam Newton. You know what I mean? And the same thing is kind of really happening to Allen. You know what I mean? He takes a lot of big hits. He runs a lot. You know, I'm not knocking him. You know what I mean? They make a lot of big plays off of him scrambling, getting out the pocket. And he does run. He does pick up big first downs, but at the same time, he takes big hits. I just didn't see him, like you said, I just didn't see him get any better. You know, they didn't get the running back. They didn't, you know what I mean? They didn't get better. So if I had to pick the Dolphins, I can say the Dolphins can beat the Bills. Yeah. That'll be my upset of the weekend.
My 5th seeded team, which was the other wild card team, is I had Cincinnati. I know that I'm going a little bit on the ledge for this, especially with me taking the Browns as the division winners. I just feel that the Browns have severely improved themselves. You got an in-shape Deshaun Jackson. You added Elijah Moore. You got now Cooper and Watson 2 years together. You still got Chubb. You still got Njoku. You still got Bryant. You added pieces to your defense to help stop the run. That was really your only weakness on the defense side of the ball. The only issue that we got right now, the only big concern that I have is our kicker, as we're letting go of KD. So it seems that that's been an issue. Our punter that we had, I watched the other day, punt the ball. My Lord have mercy. I ain't worried about a punt ever. Like, he was killing them. But Cincinnati's who I got. I'll probably catch hell for this because everybody in the world, especially every show I've watched, everybody acts like Cleveland's just like the worst team out there, and like they made no improvements, and all of them haven't finished bottom of the North, which none of us picked them at the bottom of the North. Even you at least picked them third. I watch shows and they have people picking Pittsburgh to win it all, like, or win the division. Like, are you? What about Pittsburgh? But anyway, so that leaves your fifth seed to be the Chargers by default there. So our fourth spot, which that would leave you between the choice of, which would have to be the worst of the four of these. For you, would either be Buffalo, Kansas City, Jacksonville, or Cincinnati. Me personally, mine was Tennessee, who I put in the fourth spot.
All right, would it be interesting to see? I'm gonna put what happened last year. Would it be interesting to see if Jacksonville and the Chargers bet back up? You know, if you that would be very interesting. Would it go the same way it did last year? You know, that takes that's a big hurdle too to climb. You know what I mean? Being up so big and just falling apart. You know, that does a lot to a team. That can do a lot to a team, the positive way or the negative way. You know what I mean? So, would I like to see that matchup again? Yeah, I would. How I feel the situation may be, I think the Jaguars have done more. If you want to sit there and compare, you know, I think with the Jags having another year with the same coach and a good quarterback. You know, picking up a wide receiver. You know, they got a couple little pieces that they needed. What did the Chargers do? Chargers really, they didn't really do too much. You know what I mean? We had the running back situation, the same thing that's going on in Indy. That's the biggest thing that I've heard. You know, besides is the coach coming back? That was the issue. You know, after them losing. So with the big contract of the quarterback, you know, can he live up to it? If they had to play again, I would go with the Jaguars again. It'll be fun to see.
Third spot.
They'll be at home.
Yeah. Third spot, I have Cleveland. That's where I had them fall in. In my side of the AFC. Your side, that leaves you Cincinnati, Kansas City, and Buffalo.
Ooh. All right. Okay. As far as if I have the Dolphins winning in a wild card, you know what I mean, away from home, beating Buffalo, and going to Cincinnati. You know, they'll go to Kansas City. I would take Kansas City beating the Dolphins, without a doubt. But the Kansas City got, I wouldn't say issues. You know what I mean? The only issue they got is
You got me confused. We're still sorting your 1 through 6. You got me confused right now. I just need you to decide on who in the AFC is going to be first, second, third. Your choice is Cincinnati, Kansas City, Buffalo. We'll go through the path here in a minute.
Kansas City.
Is your
first.
third? Oh no. Who's your third?
for you said Cincinnati.
Yeah, Cincinnati. Okay. That means Buffalo would be your second, which is my second, and Kansas City is your first, which is my first.
Yeah.
All right, let's get the NFC side, then we'll go through the path.
All right.
I don't remember all your picks, so hopefully you'll be able to remember.
Okay. Yeah, I got.
My 2 wild cards were, and I'll recap so you have an idea who I picked. I don't know if it helps you any or not.
Okay.
I had San Francisco winning their division, Philadelphia winning their division, Minnesota, and New Orleans, with wild cards going to Dallas and Seattle. So I have Seattle sitting in my 6th seed as the lesser of the 2 wild cards.
Okay. In the wild card for the 6th seed, I'm gonna go. Seattle, man. I think Seattle fluky. You know what I mean? Seattle. All right. No, I would say. I'm gonna ride. I'm gonna go ahead and say. Dang, it's.
Did you pick San Francisco out west to win it?
Yeah, I picked San Francisco.
You picked Dallas, didn't you?
In the East, I picked Dallas to win the East. I got Philadelphia as a wild card. I got
the North. I don't think you picked Minnesota.
I got Detroit.
Detroit, that's right.
Yeah, I think I picked Detroit, even though I need them to lose.
Did you pick Carolina? Did you pick Carolina for the South?
Yeah, I'll pick Carolina for the South. You know what I mean? Just because I'm not finna sit there and say the Saints, even though the Saints look good. But I'm not finna do that. So I'm gonna pick.
And there was one more wild card.
Win the South. Yeah, and I'm gonna go with Minnesota.
Minnesota, that's your 6th seed wild card?
Yeah, that's my 6th seed wild card.
All right, so that automatically makes Philly your 5th seed wild card.
Yeah.
So that leaves you 1 through 4 choices of San Francisco, Dallas, Detroit, and Carolina.
All right. I'm gonna go my number 1 seed. I'm gonna go San Fran. My number 2 is gonna be Cowboys. My number 3 is gonna be the Lions. And number 4 is gonna be the Panthers. Yeah.
All right. Schubert, this is how we both stack our sides and worth our pass.
Yeah.
We both agreed on the top spot. We both feel San Francisco is going to be the top team out the NFC. I had Philly as my number 2 seed. I have them winning the East. You have Dallas as your number 2. You have them winning the East. Number 3, we both picked a North team. I had Minnesota winning the North. You have Detroit winning the North. Our 4 seed teams also both come out of the South. As a matter of fact, we picked the divisions in the same order, just different teams. I have New Orleans coming out of the South. You have Carolina.
Yeah.
Our wild cards, I have Dallas being the 5th seed, the better of the 2 wild cards coming out. You had Philly, and then the 6th seed, I have Seattle being my 6th seed wild card. You have Minnesota. So we're going to jump to the East. Round 1, wild card weekend. I have, and I'm going to write yours down real quick. The teams that they face each other, so I can just circle, and I'll tell you them as we go. On mine, I have Cleveland and the Jets in Cleveland is the first wild card. You got the number 3 versus the number 6. I have Cleveland winning at home, and I also have Cincinnati at Tennessee. But I have Cincinnati winning. So I have both the Ohio teams coming out of wild card weekend on the AFC side winning. That's where I went with on the AFC side. Your AFC side, your matchups are going to be Miami at Cincinnati. Who you got?
Ooh. Miami at Cincinnati. I'm going to go ahead and go with Cincinnati.
And then your other matchup, you got San Diego at Jackson, or not San Diego, the Chargers at Jacksonville.
I'm going with the Jags.
All right. Out of the NFC wildcard weekend, let me write yours down real quick. Wait. All right. I have on wild card weekend, I got Seattle in Minnesota. I have actually Seattle winning that game. And then I also have Dallas in New Orleans. I have Dallas winning the game. So I have Seattle and Dallas coming out of the NFC side on wild card weekend. Your first matchup will be Minnesota at Detroit.
I'm gonna say Detroit, and Goff are gonna lead the way. I'm going with Goff in the Lions.
Then I'm gonna ask this question. I'm afraid that what the answer is going to be. I might have to hang your phone up after this answer. But the other matchup is Philadelphia at Carolina.
I mean, that'll be a good revenge. That'll be a good story to tell. But I'm not gonna go too far over the deep end. I would love to say Carolina, of course. But I'm gonna be honest. Since they already got the NFC South, I'm gonna go ahead and go with Philadelphia.
I was gonna say no way. All right, let me get yours written up on this side. The lower of the two, Jacksonville, and then Buffalo will be the lesser. The next one. I don't know. That's not how that would go. Buffalo. Jacksonville. Buffalo. Cincy. And then on this side, you got SF. And all right. So on I think it's division round weekend. My AFC side, first matchup, I got Kansas City at Cincinnati. Obviously, I said all paths go through Kansas City, so obviously Cincinnati is done for the playoffs. Then I have Buffalo versus Cleveland. Cleveland in Buffalo. I actually have Buffalo winning, giving us a 1-2 out that side, and making an interesting AFC Conference Championship game. Your choices on your side. First game, Jacksonville at Kansas City.
Kansas City.
And then Cincinnati at Buffalo.
I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm gonna say Cincinnati.
So we have 3 years in a row, Cincinnati and Kansas City in the playoffs there, in a championship game. All right.
Yeah.
Out west, I have an interesting matchup in my first of the two. I got Seattle in San Francisco, just because of the rivalry and it'd be a divisional game. I have San Francisco winning the game. I don't think it's actually going to be that close of a game. I just think it'd be a chippy kind of game. The other matchup is I got Dallas actually going to Philly. but I actually have Dallas winning that game, bringing San Francisco and Dallas out of that weekend and setting up a conference matchup. A matchup that a lot of us growing up, we used to love that matchup. Dallas and San Francisco in the playoffs was always a good heated rivalry there in the playoffs.
Yep.
Your choices out of the NFC. You got Philly at San Francisco.
I'm gonna go ahead and sit there and say San Francisco is gonna do their redemptions and say what should have happened last year if we would have had a healthy quarterback. So I'm gonna go ahead and go San Francisco.
Your other matchup is Detroit and Dallas.
I'm gonna go ahead and say the Cowboys.
All right, so we got 3 of the 4 teams the same. Our NFC matchups the same. And because you went Cincinnati, we have a different AFC matchup. I have Buffalo and Kansas City. It would be in Kansas City. Once again, all paths go through Kansas City, so my obvious answer is Kansas City. Yours, Buffalo and Cincinnati. Game will be in, or not Buffalo, I don't know what I said, Kansas City and Cincy. The game will be in Kansas City. Who do you got?
I got Kansas City.
And then out the West, both of us have the same thing. Both of us have Dallas going to San Francisco. I have San Francisco. I have a San Francisco, Kansas City Super Bowl. Who do you got?
I'm gonna say it was time to make it happen. You know, it's been long overdue. I'm gonna go ahead and say the Cowboys gonna do it, and they going to the Super Bowl.
All right. So I got Kansas City at San Francisco. Once again, I'll repeat the same thing I repeated 20 times already. All paths go to Kansas City. I have Kansas City as, once again, Super Bowl champion. Your matchup has Kansas City at Dallas. Who do you have winning it all?
I'm going to go ahead and say, how about them Cowboys? I'm going to go ahead and go with the Cowboys.
Tell you what, there's a lot of people out there that feel that if this is not the year, the next couple years will be the year, and it's not going to be just a one-year run. A lot of people are on that whole feel that this is a very good team that might make the noise for a few years. About 13 or so minutes left, and we still got to wrap up. We got college football this weekend. I would say it's opening weekend, but technically last weekend with the boring Notre Dame game. That was a blowout. No surprise. That was another game. I don't even remember who the teams were. But we got really the first official weekend. As a matter of fact, we got games starting tomorrow. I've actually put in a few sports bets for those. Really kind of no-name teams. Your Greenville and North Greenville and Charleston. I don't know if that's Charleston, South University. I don't know. It says SOU. Eastern Illinois, Indiana State, Shorter. I've never even heard of them. Samford, not Sanford, but Samford. Kinshaw, Tuscaloosa. I don't even know how to say that. A bunch of nobodies. I'm not gonna say nobodies. A bunch of games nobody's gonna care about starting tomorrow. So we're really starting to get things kicked off tomorrow. But this weekend really kind of opens the floodgates of the college football. Definitely looking forward to college football this weekend. Ohio State plays Indiana. Usually we win. I think we hardly ever lose to them. The games are a lot closer than I ever like them to be. Usually this game is played the weekend I go to Gatlinburg in October. So it's usually the first to second weekend, depending on how the weekends fall. And I know this because it's always aggravating while I'm in Gatlinburg trying to enjoy my weekend. Weekend getaway, leaves fall, the leaves are changing color, family time, all this stuff, especially when I was living in North Carolina, because it was like usually the only time of the year I saw most of my family. And then, of course, you would have the Ohio State-Indiana game on, and the game would always be closer than it should ever be. And so I would have to spend half of my Saturday trying to keep up and be nervous whether or not the Buckeyes are going to win against Indiana. They always play us good. They always play us hard. I don't think this year is going to be the same ordeal. Indiana's not ranked. Ohio State, ranked number 3. We got trying to pull up the rankings instead of just the top games. I'm gonna try to find if any games that stick out real quick. USC was one of the other games that actually was played already. They're 1-0. Notre Dame, of course, is 1-0. 6th ranked USC, 13th ranked Notre Dame. For those who don't know, Georgia's number 1. Really not a big fan of their. They're very easy, from what I understand, one of the easiest schedules in college football this year. I'm not going to harp too much on it because I'm not really impressed with Ohio State's schedule. I don't know if we've had this conversation, Mario, before or not. We might have. It seems like we might have. We talked about the strength of college football schedules. Yeah, we did. I think we just did this last week. Where I think they should play more ranked teams than they do. Did I lose you? You there? Am I talking to myself?
Yeah, I'm here. No, I'm here.
I'm here. Did we have that conversation?
Yeah.
Did we talk about?
We
Okay. So make sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
not
here.
gonna go harp over the whole conversation again. I'm not impressed with Ohio State's schedule this year as well. I feel it's too weak as well.
No, I'm not either.
There's no reason you're number 3 and you're not playing hardly anybody hard. Granted, you're playing Michigan, which is a number 2 team, and I think we play one other, maybe 2 other ranked Big Ten teams. So that's really about it. I think Penn State, who's number 7, and I can't remember. Wisconsin might be the other one, which is 19. So I think we play 3 top 25 teams. So it's not as bad as I was thinking it was. I really wish we had 1 or 2 more, which we still might get 1 or 2 more ranked teams in there before we play them. But I know we played Penn State, who's 7th, and Wisconsin, who's 19th, and, of course, we always play Michigan. Georgia, number 1, Michigan, number 2, Ohio State, 3, Alabama, 4, LSU, 5. Other notables, Clemson, 9th, Texas Longhorns, 11th. 12th is Tennessee. Oklahoma in the 20th. Your Tar Heels, 21st.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick out some notable. Do you ever? And I'm not trying to say this in a sarcastic way or anything. I feel that when it comes to basketball, I feel the same way. So I'm asking. Do you ever really get excited about football season being a Tar Heel fan? Like, I know I've had a couple runs at it where we were pretty good, especially back when we had Greg Oden, and I think we lost to Florida football and basketball that year. It was the first time that the 2 national titles, the national titles, both of those were against the 2 same teams, and both times Florida won. But it's very rare that Buckeyes give me a team to really be excited about on the basketball side. And so I know what it's like on the basketball side and how I feel. What's it like being a Tar Heel fan? I worked in Chapel Hill all those times, for many years, and was around football. Wasn't really that big of a deal. Basketball ruled the world there. But college kids, they didn't care. They just wanted a reason to go get drunk. So it really didn't make a difference. Do you ever get excited about Tar Heel football? Do you have any?
It's kind of a up and down type of thing. Over the last couple of years with Hal, then we have May. As far as our quarterback, but over the last couple of years, our defense have let us down. Over here in football country in the Tar Heel area, but. Is it exciting as basketball? Honestly, in my opinion, with me, it is not. Just because you want to see them do good, like I told you earlier, I feel like they're due. You know what I mean? But it's always something that lets us down. If it's Appalachian State, winning or, you know what I mean, defense giving up a whole bunch of points. Or, you know, so it's just always been up and down. You know, with Mac being a coach, you know, an older coach at that. You know, he been the leader of the program for a while. It's just been not consistent enough where big excitement to be about. But you want to see it. You know, like, honestly, I want to see it. But do I believe it? No. But is it due? Yes. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like that as far as that situation goes between UNC football and UNC basketball, you know?
So notable games that I will throw out there that to start this weekend of college football off. Michigan plays Eastern Carolina. Michigan's home, not a big game. It should be a very lopsided game. A lot of these will be lopsided. Schedules were done intentionally to kind of give these top-ranked teams kind of a game or two, at least to get their feet underneath them. Ohio State plays against Indiana in Indiana. We're like a 30-point favorite on that one. I'm trying to think of a couple other that stick out here.
I want to shock the world.
I
want to see. You know, I want to see Prime Time do his magic. You know what I mean? I want to see Prime back up everything he's always been backing up. You know what I mean? I don't know if you're a Deion fan or whatnot, but I want to see him do great things just like he did everywhere he went. You know what I mean? So if you can sit there,
who they playing?
Sit there and they play. I believe TCU. I believe at 12 o'clock. If I'm not mistaken. You know, they only got Colorado winning 3 games.
I like what he's doing as a coach.
Yeah.
I've never really been.
Okay.
I'm not a big flashy kind of person, and he's a little bit much over the top for me. I'm not a quiet person by any stretch of the imagination, especially 12 years of balancing and being a manager. You've kind of had to come out of that, but I wouldn't want to be around someone like that, just all flashy. I have someone that I actually know that I actually ran into. He came into my store last week, and he's one of those, look at me, I got this, I just can't do all that stuff. But, they play 12 o'clock. They play they play TCU. Yes, that is a team that I'll be paying attention to keep promoting it. Obviously, that's going to be a thing all year. So that will be a game that we'll be keeping an eye on to see how they do. UNC, they travel to South Carolina. That should be a good game. It's only they're only a 2.5-point favorite over South Carolina. So that will be an interesting game, close game.
That's going to be interesting.
Hopefully South Carolina or UNC, for your sake, will be able to pull this off. That's a tough SEC team out there, even though they're not ranked. They're still a tough team. Clemson at Duke. That should be a pretty easy game for Clemson. I think the game outside of Ohio State and even possibly.
I don't go so quick now. We got heard. I'm not a Duke fan, but them Duke Blue Devils, they've been talking a little junk in football recently. Last couple of weeks, I had some people talk to me about it. So they say don't be surprised. I was like, you know what I mean? I know that's right.
I just don't see it being Clemson. They might have a decent season. I just don't see it being Clemson.
Yeah.
The game that and it's a Sunday night game. That Clemson game is Monday night, so it's kind of a standalone thing. The game that I'll probably definitely watch Sunday night, because it'll be a standalone game Sunday night, which will probably be a very interesting game. It might even be an upset game, and this is probably the most closely matched game when it comes to ranked teams anyway, is number 5 LSU in Florida to the number 8 Florida State Seminoles. That should be an interesting game.
Yes,
so definitely be looking for that. Other games I'm going to throw out there real quick as we get wrapped up. 24 Tulane against South Alabama. 4th-ranked Alabama home against Middle Tennessee. 7th-ranked Penn State home against West Virginia. 23rd ranked Texas A&M home against New Mexico. 16th ranked Kansas State home against Southeast Missouri State. 6th ranked USC does play again this week. Obviously their bye will be probably early on. They are home against unranked Nevada. Any other? Georgia's home against Tennessee. I think I saw someone was already playing Tennessee Martin. Didn't I already say Tennessee? Who's Alabama playing? Oh, Middle Tennessee. Okay. Tennessee Martin. Notre Dame home against unranked Tennessee State. 11th ranked Texas Longhorns are home against unranked Rice. I say it like we don't expect Rice to be unranked or something, just like the rest of what I've been saying. Washington, 10th ranked Washington home against Boise State. Boise State is not ranked this year so far. I think those are the big ones, ranked teams that stick out. 20th ranked Oklahoma home against Arkansas State. 25th ranked Iowa Hawkeyes home against Utah State. I already talked about Michigan being home against East Carolina. 14th ranked Utah will be home against the Florida Gators, who are unranked as of right now, and I think that's all the ranked teams. So we'll definitely be looking forward to next week's show. We got everything football, NFL-wise out the way, so we'll be doing our NFL predictions, and we will be hitting major headlines and recapping major games and major headlines coming out of college football, to include how Colorado does, Ohio State does, UNC does, and really anybody out of the top 5 will be a big key focal point with any other headlines coming out of there. As we get things wrapped up, Mario, let them know, where they can find you, social media, website. Also, once again, let them know where you will be so they can come support you out there in Cumberland County.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. You can shop with us on CarolinaSportsPlus.com. You can like us on Facebook and Instagram at Carolina Sports Plus. You also will be a vendor at the fair in Cumberland County starting Friday, September 1st through the 10th. We got a lot of good things going. Shout out to Angel Munoz. His fight's coming up September the 9th, so that's always a good thing going on. And shout out to Michael Williams Jr.
Tomorrow night, new show on the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network. I think he's kicking it off at 7 o'clock. For those who listen to the show that are race fans, it's a show. It's got a lot to do with safety in the sport, but it will be also have drivers on, other local people he's got coming on the show. He's already got people scheduled for tomorrow's show. So be looking forward to that. Don't forget, next Monday night will be our 3rd episode of the 110 Nation Race Chat Live exclusive. We got another young athlete already scheduled to come on there. It seems like it's something Dickens. It seems like what his name was. I'm looking forward to that. And, of course, Tuesday night would be Race Chat Live. Both those shows kick off at 8 o'clock. Don't forget, you also can go to www.the110 Nation Sports Radio Network, blogs, videos, show schedule, marketing partners. All that can be found there. Also, tabs to all the platforms, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Spreaker, Blog Talk Radio, Google Podcasts, Podchasers, YouTube, Spotify. I know I'm starting to repeat some of them. There are a whole long list of them: iHeart, Spotify, iTunes, Spreaker, BTR, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Geo, Savin, Podcast Addicts, Deezer, Podchasers, YouTube. There you go. And Amazon Music and Audibles. So I went through the whole list a second time to make sure I missed none of them. Really, anywhere where your podcast can be found, we are there. So make sure you guys check that out. Like us on Facebook, 110 Nation Sports. Follow us on Instagram, _110_Nation. On Twitter, at 110 Nation. Make sure you guys follow us over there. Subscribe subscribe. Please go over to YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network. Help us continue to grow over there, and help us so we can find ways to help finance all this. 12 years doesn't get any cheaper, so we'd like to be able to pull in some kind of monetization to help cover the very expensive cost of all this, all the platforms, all the different things, sites, shows, everything we do here. All comes out of our pockets, contests, giveaways, everything that we do. So help support us, follow us, like us, and more specifically, subscribe to our channel. I think that covers everything. Everything? Everything. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Everything. Of course, Mario will be in touch throughout the week as we continue doing things behind the scenes, continue to grow. All the listeners, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, listening to the show, however you catch the show, replays, calling in, catching it live on Blog Talk Radio. Or, like I said, once they syndicate out to all the different platforms, however you catch it, I want to thank everybody. I'm looking forward to next week. Until next time.